The Lyndham York Handicap, 150, kicking off with a sprint. And prices are as follows. Top of the betting when the dealing's done, 7.0. Corker, 9.0. Designer, 10.0. Illusionist, 10.0. 11.0. Mountain Peak, bigger prices the rest. I'm with Copper Knight, who's shortened up a little bit. The winner of this last year came up the far side. It's 14 running here, and the stalls are far side. I think you might be advantaged by racing up against that rail. And Copper Knight can do that off a lowly mark. Running this race last year for about a stone higher. Copper Knight loves the track, particularly off this sort of mark. Get out and go. And I don't trust when the dealing's done personally. Not on this track either. I've had too many losses on him, so I wanted to look elsewhere. Copper Knight for me at 13.0. Steve?
Yeah, when the dealing's done, he's for the gambler amongst us. But Clarendon House is my selection, who's trained by Robert Cowan. And this horse ran really well first time up last season, finishing ahead second to Rasel. And the pair of them were clear. Now, Rasel, what he did after that, this makes Clarendon House look pretty good. And I think maybe fresh is the first time out is the time to catch him. He was given some pretty lofty targets later in the season. He even ran in the Numthorpe, and but he's not up to that level. But back in a handicap, I think Clarendon House has been overpriced. So I can't remember what sort of price he was, to be honest, but I think it was about...
I'll tell you. 15.0.
15.0, yeah. I think when in place, I think he's got an excellent chance.
Okay. And Donn, 9.0 for your shot.
Yeah, I like Corker. Again, we're back to track form. Like he ran a big race in a listed race, the City Wall Stakes in July, when he finished the herd behind Royal Acclaim, who I think was sent off as favourite for the Nunthorpe. He won at this meeting last year. He won the 3-year-old sprint handicap off a mark of 95. He was up to a mark of 104. He's back down to a mark of 100, so he's only £5 higher than the mark off which he won last year. And he was well beaten on his debut this season in the Palace House Stakes, but it was a seasonal debut. It was on soft ground. He should be better on better ground, better back at York as well. And yeah, I can see him, given that he's got conditions in his favour and the track in his favour, I can see him running a decent race at a decent price.
That's the 150 done. Sprint handicap. 225 is the Middleton. 154 grand on offer for this if you're interested in that sort of thing. Big prize money. Free Wind at the top of the betting is 2.3. Aracita is 6.0. Sea Silk Road 6.5. Toscana Bell 9.0. 10.0. Stay Alert. Bigger prices the rest. Donn, I'll come straight back to you. Who are you with and why?
Yeah, Free Wind. What she did in the Lancashire Oaks last season was quite incredible. Like to lose the ground that she lost when Sela Rossa and Ashada came together in front of her, and to check back and pick up again and beat good fillies like Sela Rossa and Ashada. They're top class fillies. We haven't seen her since, and that's obviously not ideal. That was early July, so she obviously had some kind of an issue after that. But look, she's a good filly, and she beat a good filly, I think, of Paddy Toomey, from whom we could hear a bit more this season, Ross Carberry. And in the Group 1 race at Deauville last season, she was only beaten by Nashwa and the Nassau Stakes. And she sets a good, or she has a good level of attainment. But I just think Free Wind could be a bit of a superstar this season as long as she gets a clear run at it. And she was progressive anyway going into the Lancashire Oaks last season. I think she can resume that progression at this season. She's relatively lightly raced, and just think she's a really exciting filly. And again, she's only a 13-day shot, but yeah, I think that's around about right. Maybe a bit better than fair.
I'll come in there because I'm with Stay Alert, although I really respect Free Wind. Like, I think she's excellent, and I'm just a bit of a chicken, to be honest, and that worry about why she's been off since, I don't know, it concerns me. And Stay Alert should not have the beating of her on that Lancashire Oaks form. Stay Alert came out and won at Newbury, and then was last of the bunch at Ascot in the Fillies and Mares, albeit that was up into Group 1 company. But they said after that race that she didn't like the ground, so I'm willing to also forgive or mark her up a little bit on the Haydock run behind Free Wind, because that was on soft ground. And the other thing was that was a bit of a rising grade for her, and she was just keen up to 1.5 miles. I think the drop-in trip could be a good thing for her. For all, she should stay 1.5 miles. I quite like the drop-back in trip. she settled better over this in a 9-runner over this sort of distance in the 9-runner field at Newbury. I thought she was the value at 10.0 in an 8-runner field. So win and place. Hopefully they all line up. I just feel a bit more confident siding with her than I do free wind at her price. Steve.
Yeah, I think the thing with free win for me is the combination of the absence and the distance. I'm not convinced on decent or what will be drying. It could even be good to firm by Thursday. 1 mile and 2 on decent ground for free win would worry me a little bit. And I'm going to take a bit of a chance with Toscana Bell, who is 9.0. And if there remains the dead 8 runners, 3 places, I go winning place because I think I think she's very interesting. She's a horse that's making her debut for Roger Varian, having been trained in Germany and done very well in Germany. Won the German Oaks last season, and although it's hard to weigh that form up, I still think people are very dismissive of German form, even though we've seen Arc winners and we've seen good horses. I think the last 2 Arc winners had done a fair bit of their racing in Germany, and still people ignore it. So for that reason, even though giving £3 to free win is not ideal, because she's got that Group 1 win at Dusseldorf last August, she goes on good ground. Even though giving weight away is not ideal, Toscana Bell I think is very, very interesting.
Righty. I was just having a good look into free win's pedigree there. It just you alerted me to the distance, and it made me think about a few things. George Strawberry's got some interesting runners coming up, the likes of Epictetus on the card. Also, there's a horse called Torito running at Sandown today. So I was trying to tie all that in. Anyway, I digress. Apologies. Toscana Bell, free win, stay alert. The selection's there. 3 o'clock, Hambleton Handicap. This is tough. I'm not going to read out prices because they're pretty much big everywhere. Steve, take it away.
Yeah, it is a tough handicap. There's no doubt about that. But I really fancy Eileen Durr in this.
Didn't you put this in last time?
Yeah, and at Thirsk, and the ground just went against him totally. He's a horse that likes these. I think it rained very heavily on the afternoon, if I remember. It was the Thirsk Cup, and he ran all right. He did run all right, but it's just that soft ground wasn't ideal. Ran in the Lincoln when the heavy ground wasn't going to be ideal, and he's been dropped £3 since the start of the season, and I don't think that is a true reflection of him at all. He's got very, very good York form. He won in last summer beating Blue for You. He's better off at the weights for Blue for You, who hasn't run this season, whereas Island does run 3 times. And I just think everything is in place for him to run very, very well. I think that course form that Donn keeps mentioning is absolutely key at York. The ground's going to be perfect. And I just, even in a competitive race like this, I just don't see how he doesn't run very, very well. And for that reason, I fancy his chances at around 13.0.
All right, Donn.
Yeah, Northern Express, Tom. I just think he comes into the race in good form. His debut this season was good at Musselburgh when he didn't have a great run through the race, and then he won that Perscon Cup the last day. I thought he won with a wee bit in hand. He only won by 3 parts of a length. He travelled like the most likely winner from a long way out. He quickened to the front, and then when they were kind of coming at him, he seemed to find a wee bit more and was going on again. He was always holding Pisanello and Safe Voyage, and they've both enhanced the form since Pisanello won at Hamilton there at the weekend. Safe Voyage ran a massive race in the Victoria Cup there at Ascot on Saturday. So the form of the race is working out well. And yeah, I take Steve's point about the ground. It was soft that day, but he's got form on better ground as well. And he's got form at the track as well. He's won twice at York. The mile trip the last day, he saw it out really well. He was kind of maybe more a 7 furlong horse before that, but you couldn't argue that he didn't see out a mile the last day. So that's good. And he only got £3 for it. So he's up from 92 to a mark of 95, which that is his peak mark. He was rated 95 last in the middle part of last season. So I think he's got lots in his favour. And his drawn Sol 5's good draw as well towards the inside. Yeah, I think he's got an awful lot going for him. And I can see him taking a good step forward from first to last day. I think there's more to come from him after the last run.
I am absolutely with you. And the only reason I didn't put him down is because you have, and I'm probably going to end up backing too many horses. But I put this horse up at this track over the mile in August, and I was a bit frustrated with the run he got, to be honest. But he ran okay. He was good at Thirsk, and that is really good form, like you say. Pisanello bolted up at Hamilton. I thought would have won with a clearer runner, even easier. And that's deep form at Hamilton itself. It being a Sky Bet Sunday Series race with plenty of prize money on offer. So I think he's worth a bet. But the one I'm really excited about is this Astro King at 21.0. He was third over this course and distance in August. The trouble is he was often a frustrating horse for previous connections. Twice in the Hunt Cup, he ran a belter. The year in 2021, he won his side, and then he ran well again last year, when again he was on the outside, coming over as the groups merged. He is a bit of an excuses horse. He finished last on his last start. I really like the change of yard, and like had he not moved yards, he'd be half the price he is. But he's gone to Daniel and Claire Kubler, really good trainers, really going along nicely at the moment. They've had horses. They've had one winner in the last couple of weeks, but they've had horses at prices run really well. They had a place at Ascot at 17.0, another one with Don't Tell Claire at 13.0. I think it's a big plus, a horse like Astro King, gelded, moving to a quieter yard. He might absolutely blow out, but I'd be pretty, 21.0. I'm very excited about him. I'll have a good go win and place at him. Mihal Deasy says, I am the Astro King, 5 goals and 3 assists last night in Bishopstown. You're an idiot, Dees. I love that. Very good. Moves well, does Dees. 5 goals and 3 assists. Where's Bishopstown, Donn?
It's in Cork somewhere. Cork's big. I'm disappointed with only 3 assists. He's scoring 5 goals. He should be getting more assists. He's obviously more of a striker, kind of a number 10.
Greedy is the word you're looking for.
King of the jumps, goal hanger. That's what he is. Moving on to the Dante. And prices are as follows with Epictetus or Epictetus. People say it differently. He's gone out of points since I last looked. 5.5, as he's flying on as 6.5 passenger. Canberra Legends, 7.5. Bigger prices the rest. Steve Jones.
Yeah, I just think this is his race, Epictetus. Last season, his form was very, very good. Beating Leadman first time up in Desert Order and Flying Orders. That form is worked out sensationally well. Second to Silver Knot, splitting Holloway Boy as well. That's obviously very good form. And then second at Doncaster on deep ground behind August Rodin. And although he didn't run very well in the Guineas, that you can't really say that finishing second in that kind of strange Group 1 up at Doncaster, the back end, was his bad form. So he's also had a run at Epsom. I think this is his trip. I would be a little bit concerned for him going up in distance for the Derby. I don't know what their plans are, but I'd say he'd be more suited to the French Derby than he would be at Epsom. But regards the Dante, I think he's got an excellent chance.
Yeah, John Gosden said after Epsom that the French Guineas was far more likely than the Derby was more likely than the Derby. He's a Kingman. Gosden never runs his Kingmans over 1.5 miles, and he's too quick for that. I don't like him, Steve. I think his form's pretty average. I don't like the Doncaster form all that much. I know the Silver Knot form then in turn ties in with Chaldean. I just think he's a bit. Well, he's drifted out of point now, but I want to take him on with Canberra legend. James Ferguson, for some reason, doesn't command the respect as a trainer I think he deserves when he comes up against the big boys. think he's really good, and he's got some nice horses. I was impressed with this horse last time. We should appreciate the step up in trip. And also Liberty Lane. Waipiro, he was giving weight to him, and Waipiro's come out and backed up that form by finishing second in the Lingfield Derby trial. He was a bit fresh that day as well. I'm hoping that'll just take a bit of the buzz out of him, because on his Nottingham form, I think he's really good, Liberty Lane, and he's a massive price, 29.0. So win and place for me, Donn.
Yeah, Canberra Legend, Tom. I'm with you with him. Look, I think it's a fascinating Dante. There's so many unknowns in there. Like Flying Honours is fairly well exposed, but he's a Zetland Stakes winner. Epictetus likewise ran a big race in the Virgin Futurity and did win the Blue Ribbon Trial. Hadrianus probably didn't do a huge amount for the form in the Chester Vase. He ran well to a point, but then was pretty well beaten in the end. Continues evading O'Brien's 2 for 2 and leading a Group 3 race at St. Cloud at the end of last season. Passengers won his maiden there a few weeks ago, Michael Stout. But yeah, Canberra Legend, I agree with him, the trainer, Tom, James Ferguson. He's obviously a good trainer, but kind of lower profile. And if he was trained by with a different name in the trainer's column, he might be a wee bit shorter than he is for both the Dante and the Derby. And I thought he did well to win at Newmarket the last day. He kind of seemed to not really handle the dips so well, but when he met the rising ground, he really finished off his race strongly, and he won well. He's an interestingly bred horse, because his dams are half sister to Blaine and Bogart, who are obviously sprinters, but he himself is a half brother to Youth Spirit, who won the Chester Vase over a mile and a half. So, and he raced the last day in the field, and as if he would improve for stepping up in trip. He did hold an entry in the Guineas, which is interesting, but James Ferguson, I think, said afterwards that it was Dante Derby, but that's the route he was going fairly quickly afterwards. So, yeah, I just think he's an interesting horse. He might be a wee bit below the radar, and he just might be a wee bit overpriced as a result.
Donn, this one's for you. Giles says the Ballysacks is always a decent race. This year's winner, no exception. A double figure price is absurd. About White Birch, that is. What do you think?
Yeah, in White Birch, he was a really game winner. They were at a fast pace in the Ballysacks, and I was talking to the trainer's son afterwards, and I think the intention was to go for the Derrinstown, but he didn't go for the Derrinstown. So yeah, just wonder what the plan is with him now. But no, he was a good winner, and again, lower profile trainer. John Murphy, very, very good trainer as well with his son George. So he's a horse who could be, I mean, he's visible. He's not that as his name suggests, White Birch. But I think I agree with Giles. Yeah, I think he's a horse who's bubbling under and could be a wee bit more to come from him.
Alrighty, that's us done with the Dante. The Westo Stakes, the 410. Didn't get prices up for this, so apologies, but I will. 5 furlongs and Rocket Rodney 5.0, Woolbank 5.5, Silent Words 8.5, 9.0 Change of Mind, as is Hispanic. I'm very small stakes Woolbank, Donn, but you can probably make a better case. I just like his form from last year, particularly the Trillium form, to be honest, but whether or not he's going to be a good 3-year-old, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm similar, Tom. Like, small stakes, not a race that I have a huge conviction about. But I thought he ran well in the Norfolk, and because of all the kind of chat about, the interference in that, then his run might have gone a wee bit under the radar. He wasn't interfered with, but I thought he did well. He ran on well and finished a good second. And then in the Molecombe, he was towards the far side in the Molecombe, which wasn't ideal. Trillium, she came up the inside rail, and she was obviously very good in winning, and Rocket Rodney split the pair of them. He's got a reverse placement with Rocket Rodney, but I think the fact that he was on the far side wasn't to his advantage. Trillium came out and enhanced that form. Next time won the Flying Childers, and he's wearing a tongue tie today for the first time. He goes well over the tree. He won his novice stakes by 7 lengths over the course and distance, so we're back to that course form, which is a positive. So yeah, I just think he's an interesting alternative to Rocket Rodney.
And Steve, your selection, how confident?
Oh, I couldn't really get my head around this race, but Hispanic, I think, is overpriced, no doubt about it. And that it's around 9.0. A bit surprised at that, because this horse absolutely bolted up at the Curragh in first-time blinkers last back end. And there was a good few winners came out of that. I thought that was strong form, and he's absolutely destroyed them. And then he's come over to Doncaster on heavy ground for a listed race, and he just hasn't got home over the 6 furlongs. I think he's going to be A, better over 5 furlongs, and B, better on decent ground, and that's what he gets first time out. If he's ready to rock, then Hispanic must have some sort of chance.
All right, the other bets, Steve, you've outdone yourself again. 205 at Salisbury, other bet on Thursday.
Oh, why have I done that?
Juniper.
Eve Johnson-Houghton has got her 2-year-olds in sensational form, and Juniper Berry's won first time up by 5 lengths. I thought that was a real good starting point. Then the form has worked out pretty good indeed. There's a couple of winners come out of that, and the runner-up is twice run well, so it looks good form. I know people are getting excited about the top horse Relief Rally, who won on soft ground at Windsor for William Haggis, but I'm not convinced that 5 furlongs on decent ground is going to be the thing for Relief Rally. I think he wants to go up in trip, or she wants to go up in trip, and Juniper Berries might just be a bit quick.
All right. Yeah, Matchbook Zero Thursday long shots. That's where I was. Reminder of Matchbook Zero, 0 commission. Head to the exchange if you haven't done so already. Find Matchbook Zero, and you're likely to be getting best odds because that's the nature of the exchange. And there's 0 commission on Matchbook Zero, up to £20 a bet here. I'm going to go with Astro King for reasons I've given in the 3 o'clock at York. Steve?
I'm going head to head with Donn in every race, so I'm starting to get a bit worried about all this. But I'm going for Clarendon House at a decent price in the first race, the 150 at York.
Donn?
Yeah, Corker. He's not going to be as big a price as Steve's, but yeah, again, for the reason I outlined earlier, I think he's got a good chance.
And then straight on to best bets. I'm going Astro King again, 21.0, win and place in that 3 o'clock at York. Oh my God, we're all best bets. We're going for this, all in the 3 o'clock. Unbelievable. Right, win and place Astro King for me. Steve?
Eileen who finished behind Northern Express last time, so I'll leave that one to Tom.
Donn?
Northern Express. We probably won't confirm places with Eileen though.
So all we need to do is just back the 1, 2, 3 there, because I take it we're all going win and place at the prices. So there you go. We'll look like geniuses. Steve, thank you. Donn, thank you.
There's Tom.
Great
stuff.
Enjoyed it. Best of luck, everybody.
I think it's a really good couple of days punting-wise, or I hope it is, but lots of opportunities at York. So enjoy it, everyone. We'll see you again hopefully on Thursday, where we will be previewing Friday from York and Saturday elsewhere, mainly at Newbury. So see you then. Look out for timings that our esteemed producer Daniel Hussey will be tweeting. Head to Matchbook Insights as well for a recap of all the best bets. Ta-ra!